to the June 8th, 2026 regular business meeting of the Billings City Council. I'm happy to see you all here today. I am calling the meeting to order at exactly 5:30 p.m. And if you would all please rise so we can say the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing.
Father in heaven, thank you for all your blessings. Thank you and increase our gratitude for allowing each of us to do our part in guiding the affairs of our city. Thank you for the wisdom you grant to all who call you Father. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Ms. Keener, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Shaw,
Here.
Nicholson,
Here.
Neath,
Present.
Pittman,
Here.
Aguirre,
Here.
Kennedy, Aspenleiter, Lindley,
Here.
Boyette, O'Donnell, Mayor Nelson.
Here. Thank you. We have some minutes to approve, May 11th, 2026 and May 26th, 2026. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes? Mr. Boyette?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the minutes from May 11th, 2026 and May 26th as 2026 as read.
Do we have a second? Second. Actually, Ms. Shaw was first, so any discussion regarding the motion? All those in favor then, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us on to courtesies. Dr. Nicholson.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize Marguerite Jodry. About 7 years ago, this very resourceful business person knew that she wanted to establish a retail business in downtown Billings. She didn't know what business she wanted to establish, but she knew she wanted to do it in downtown Billings. She went ahead and established Zest, which sells all things kitchen. Zest has been profitable since year one and has grown every year. And she's giving careers to 4 people. And to prove that she's a capable business person, she's made payroll every time.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Marguerite, and I am the owner of Popover Kitchen Supply, formerly Zest. We launched our rebrand just 1 week ago, but we are the same store and the same team as before. We've been part of the downtown community since 2020, and while what we do is sell everything kitchen, as Dr. Nicholson said, our real mission is to build community through cooking, eating, and gathering together. This whole process was brought about by a big, scary intellectual property challenge, unfortunately. But one thing that has become very apparent to us is how resilient our business is because we are part of the downtown community. I am very grateful for the support, guidance, and encouragement that I received over the past year from our fellow downtown businesses and the Downtown Billings Alliance in particular. So as we start this next chapter of our business as Popover Kitchen Supply, I want to reiterate our commitment to downtown Billings. We are incredibly proud to be part of the revitalization of downtown and excited for the future. Thank you, and I hope you'll pop over soon to see us.
That was a collective groan on that last joke there. Yeah. Well, congratulations on your success and congratulations on making every payroll. That's pretty good. Mr. Boyette?
I had planned on having Colin Pedersen from the Salvation Army. Is there anyone else here from the Salvation Army to speak for him? If not, we'll have him back another time then. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. The mayor was very nice, very kind to issue a proclamation for the National Day of Prayer last month. I want to point out that June 13th, this week, would be the International Day of Prayer. And just to point out that prayer is not just a one day of the year special event, but something we do all the time. Every day of the year is probably declared National Day of Prayer in somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Any other courtesies? All right, thank you, council. That moves us on to proclamations, and I have one. Whereas addressing the complex health needs of people with scleroderma is important to the city of Billings, and whereas comprehensive and coordinated health services for people with scleroderma are critically important to achieving positive patient outcomes, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize June as Scleroderma Awareness Month, and through public awareness, the city of Billings seeks to focus on the needs of people with scleroderma and the continuing improvement of services to those people and their families. And whereas Billings residents are encouraged to wear teal in June in support of scleroderma awareness and to participate in scleroderma awareness related events during the month of June. And whereas the Montana chapter, through its collaboration with the National Scleroderma Foundation and other organizational partners, seeks to raise awareness in our communities through support, education, and research toward finding a cure for scleroderma. Now, therefore, I, Mike Nelson, Mayor of the City of Billings, do hereby proclaim the month of June to be Montana Scleroderma Awareness Month. And I'm signing the proclamation as we speak. Is there anybody from that association here? Would you like to come up and say hi?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and Council. Hi, Andy. On behalf of the Montana chapter for the National Scleroderma Foundation, we'd just like to say thank you. I serve as the president of the Rocky Mountain chapter, along with my daughter, Ray Lynn, serves on the chapter advisory committee. And scleroderma is a rare autoimmune disease. It affects primarily females usually diagnosed between the ages of 40 and 50 is where you see that most diagnosed. Raylyn was diagnosed about 4 years ago, but has had symptoms since she was 12 years old. So she's a little bit of a unique case because it doesn't affect younger people so much. But the National Scleroderma Foundation really focuses on support for those with scleroderma and family members with scleroderma, education, because many people don't know what scleroderma is, and also research to try to find a cure. So scleroderma, the literal definition of scleroderma, sclero means thickening or hardening, and derma means skin. So the literal definition is a thickening or a hardening of the skin, but it affects soft tissue. So it can affect even things like your lungs and your heart. And so we hope as a chapter that we can work really hard to try to bring stronger healthcare to the Billings community, especially when it comes to like rheumatology and people with scleroderma expertise. So they have an understanding of what it is people are dealing with as they try to battle this terrible disease. But having a proclamation here for the city of Billings goes a long way in helping us provide more awareness and support in the community, so it helps our efforts. So thank you again.
Thank you. Could you tell us your name and your address so we can have that for the record?
Yep, my name is Travis Breer, and I live on 6023 Ironwood Drive here in Billings.
Thank you, Mr. Breer. Would you folks like to come up for a picture with the council?
Sure.
Come right up into the well here. Thank you. Oh. Thank you, folks. That moves us on to council reports. Do we have any council? Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The legislative meeting, we'll have two of them this month on June 17th from 4 to 5 and June 24th from 4 to 5. And I would ask each of the council, and we will send out a notice to all department heads, any requests for legislative issues or any bills coming up, please get them to me before the 17th so we have a time to discuss legislative issues at our 17th meeting. And on the 24th, we will be inviting a few of the legislators to present at the legislative meeting on the 24th. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Aspenleiter?
If we can pass a budget tonight, we will not have budget and finance on Wednesday. If we do not pass a budget tonight, then we will have budget and finance on Wednesday as penalty. So,
We're still going to be meeting Wednesday morning from tonight. Any other council reports? Council Operations Committee met this morning. We went through a few more committees to review, and we decided that we have about 4 or 5 recommendations right now, and we will be bringing those to the council, I think, in groups of 4 or 5, so that we don't have to debate 15 or 20. So we'll be ready as soon as we can get them on the agenda. All right. Any other council reports? Thank you. Mr. Administrator, sir.
So I do have a few things for you tonight, Council. The first is a motion to realign the agenda as necessary. We need to move consent item number 1A3, which is the bid award for SID 1430. We need to move that after the regular agenda item number 3, which is the public hearing and resolution creating the SID 1430. So we need to create that first under the regular agenda item, and then you can immediately after that, if you choose to do so, do the bid award on the consent item. And then Mayor and Council, I wanted to briefly note that Councilmember Kennedy was going to provide an initiative regarding concerns about several intersections with higher crash rates or reoccurring traffic safety issues. Councilmember Nicholson has also been asking about fatal and incapacitating injury crash data. I don't believe we need a new council initiative at this time. This work fits within prior Councilmember Rupsis's initiative, which already contemplated crash analysis, roadway design factors, enforcement, and other traffic safety tools. So staff will coordinate between Public Works and law enforcement to review the crash data and specific intersections of concern, and we'll bring back information to council as that work develops. And also a reminder, there's a city county school district meeting Wednesday, June 10th. So this Wednesday at 11:30 at the school district boardroom. And there was no ex parte communication received after 3 p.m. To the mayor and council.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Iflin, we've decided after talking with our parliamentarian that we're going to entertain that motion to move item 1A3 right after public comment. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Aspenleiter.
so thanks, Mayor. Mr. Iflin, question on the city county meeting. Can you make sure that gets sent out, the invite gets sent out to the council? I don't know that I have it on mine. And Dennis and I showed up the wrong week the last time over at the county. Can you make sure Juliet resends that invite out?
I'll have her resend it out. There was some confusion for this meeting coming up on Wednesday, and we did clarify it just late this evening. So,
And then the last one, can we make sure that we're not having an official meeting like we did the last time where it turned into an official school board meeting with public comment and the whole 9 yards? That kind of defeats the whole purpose of what that meeting was intended to be, which was talking about what's going on with the different organizations, and it turned into an official process meeting, which was not beneficial to anybody, that I'm not participating in again.
I will double check the agenda and what's on the agenda tomorrow, and we can have that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else for Mr. Iflin? Okay, folks, we've come to the part of our agenda where we'll ask for public comment on non-public hearing agenda items. That would be item 1 and item 7 only. Is there any public comment on item 1 or item 7?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jeff Kettleson. I live at 489 South 44th Street in the 5th Ward. I specifically would like to comment about 7G. 7G is the 2026 Water System Revenue Bond Authorization. Citizens of Billings, I know that our family's finances are under attack from the non-stop increase of taxes. We've been forced to pay for things that we shouldn't have to pay for. I know you're hurting when I see you in the grocery store and you pick up a steak and you can't afford it. And I definitely see it when you vote down the property mill increase for our children's schools. Council members, we're hurting out here. 7G is the second go around for the increase of bonds for our water department. Our water department needs a new water plant, and the reason why we need it is because of the development that is happening in our city. All one has to do is look around and see all the construction every week almost before the city council is new annexations. And the choice is, who is going to pay for this? This administration and previous administrations has decided that we, the citizens, should be paying for the new water treatment plant. That is within your right, and I understand that. However, I disagree with it. In Montana, Helena, Bozeman, Missoula, even Great Falls has impact fees. Impact fees would pay for the new water treatment plant. It would force the developers of our ever-expanding city to cover the cost for this new plant. This administration has made a choice, and I do recognize that you have the right to do that. And the choice that this administration has made is the citizens should pay for this. I disagree with that 100%. The citizens of Billings are struggling financially. They can hardly pay their bills. So I'm asking the city council tonight maybe to not approve this bond and instead institute impact fees to put the cost where they should be borne, on the developers, not the citizens. Thank you very much.
Any further comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion of our hearing. And I understand Mr. Pittman has a motion to amend.
Actually, I'll make two motions. The first motion would be I would like to amend the agenda for 1A3 to become A3. 3A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move item 1A3 and make it 3A. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? This is a change the agenda. Does this require 3/4?
Mayor, actually, this is just changing the order of business, and so that's just a majority.
Thank you. All those in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. All right. Second, Mr. Pittman.
Second, I would like to amend the agenda to move item 7 to a work session.
So Mr. Pittman has moved to take item 7 to work session. Mr. Boyette seconds. This requires 3/4.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Mr. Neese.
Can I ask to have this postponed until item 7 comes up? Is that a possibility? Is there a motion that I can make a substitute motion to just delay this until item 7, because then we can have the vote for the work session at that time?
Yeah, yeah, if you're asking me, yes, you can make a substitute motion.
Yeah, I make a substitute motion to postpone this vote until item 7 of the agenda. In the regular order of item 7.
I'm not sure I understand what
In
you're
other
trying
words,
to do, Mr. Neese.
well, unless there's a second, I'm not going to speak to my, okay.
Okay, we have a second.
Okay, so all this is going to do is wait for this vote until item 7 comes up, because right now, without having to go through all of item 7 now, it's just going to take way too much time. Let's just talk about this when item 7 normally is, instead of in the beginning of it, and to delay everything.
Do you want to talk about it later at the end of the meeting?
We'll talk about the end of the meeting instead of having to wait for it.
All right, so that's the motion, is to delay it to the end of the meeting, the motion. All right, so I think we need to vote on that one. Is there any discussion regarding? Go ahead, Ms.
Mayor.
Shaw.
I'm sorry, I was seeking some clarification of is what our agenda is, so we don't, I'm just a little unclear about what exactly we're voting on, because our agenda already has it
Down
at the
with you.
end.
If I may, Mayor, I don't believe there was a second on that substitute motion.
Ms. Dahl?
There
go ahead.
was, okay.
Yeah,
None of
so
us heard that, so we just wanted to clarify.
So what the delay is, just taking this vote until the end of the meeting. It's in other words, we're not going to get a whole lot of, which we already are, getting a whole lot of discussion about item 7. We're just trying to move this whole discussion till the end of the meeting, till when item 7. Then we can take the vote to move it to work session.
So your motion is to move it to a work session, but to take that vote at item 7. That's what I'm understanding. Is that accurate?
No, it's to postpone this vote until the normal item 7.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Espinal.
Councilman Pittman, I would just respectfully ask that you withdraw your motion so that we can have this conversation as it's originally scheduled. Otherwise, we got a whole budget to go here.
I was going to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you. I will withdraw my motion so he can withdraw. As long as, thank you.
So everybody's withdrawing everything, and we're heading to the consent agenda. By the way, I have to congratulate the council for working together on that issue, and I appreciate it. Are there any separations from the consent agenda? Mr. Aspenleiter.
I'm going to separate agenda item 1I1 for purposes of recusal. My firm is in the payables.
Okay. Any other separations? So I would entertain a motion. Mr. Neese?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the items of the consent agenda as submitted, with the exception of items 1I1 and 1I3 that was moved to, I guess that doesn't matter. 1I1, thank you.
1I1. Mr. Kennedy? Any discussion regarding the motion? Mr. Boyette?
Again, I'm always the one, I just want to say thank you to the Big Sky Economic Development for the $25,000 donation to Colson Park. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion then please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. That motion passes unanimously. Now we go to the separated item,
Mayor,
1I1.
I'll make a motion to approve item 1I1.
Mr. Neese made the motion, was seconded by Mr. Lindley. Please note, Mr. Aspenleiter has recused himself, so there'll be 10 of us voting. Although, any discussion regarding the motion? All those in favor then please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say no. That motion carries 10-1 with Mr. Aspenleiter recusing himself. All right, item 2.
Item 2, public hearing and resolution approving and adopting FY 2026 budget amendments. Staff recommends approval.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Have before you budget amendments on FY26. To be clear, that is the budget we are currently in. These are largely tidying up some accounting items, not exclusively. We'll go through them quickly. They were all in your staff memo, laid out individually. This item does require a public hearing. First one is for property and liability insurance. We've had some claims causing our deductibles to be higher than what we had estimated they would be. These ultimately do get charged back to departments, but we're asking for a budget amendment to approve the expenditure of those deductibles. Second one is at the airport, we have a cash reserve set aside for the terminal construction loan that was taken out back in 2020. We received quite a bit of federal funding and took out significantly less debt than what we'd envisioned. And so we would like to pay that off faster than the payoff schedule. And so we need the authority to do that. So we're asking for that. The funds are available to do that. In the general fund, we, code enforcement a few years ago had started helping the state, and I'm probably going to screw it up, so I'll try to be limited on it, help the state dispose of properties that had no clear owner. And we had received those funds and had been holding on to them and finally figured out, okay, how to get them back to the state. So we're asking for the budget authority to remit those funds back to the state. The next one is to clean up some of the historic tax credits accounting entries we did. It's moving money from our tax credit fund into the debt fund to help pay off this building. And then finally, to increase the budget authority for the netting project at Dealer Park. Some of this is going to be funded with cash on hand, but also from an additional contribution from the Billings Mustangs. There are sufficient funds in all of these, or sufficient monies in all of these funds to cover these expenses. So we're asking for you to hold a public hearing and approve the budget amendments for FY26.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Andy. Any questions for Mr. Zoller? Mr. Aspenleiter.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Zeller, you can turn and kick this directly over to Director Walcher if you want to.
I will.
On Dealer, what was the total cost of the project that we did at Dealer with the infield and the netting?
Mayor and Council, the total project cost for those two endeavors was just about $486,000.
Okay, and how much of that came from the Mustangs?
I do not have that number right now.
This $30,000 though comes from?
So the overage that shows the $30,000 could come from the Mustangs. This project started in FY24 monies. So some of those were underestimated costs to when we finally got the project done about a year ago. Those costs had increased. As of this meeting, I do not know what the Mustang's intent is in the way of helping offset some of those costs.
Do we have any idea what that $1 per ticket surcharge, has that contributed at all to this capital project or any capital project?
Mayor and Councilmember Aspenleiter, I cannot say with any veracity that it did or did not go toward this project. I do not have an accounting of that ticket price maintenance endeavor.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for our presenter? Mr. Neese?
Actually, this is for Gavin as well. Gavin, the same topic. The last sentence on this thing says Dealer Park is also expected to donate additional resources that will cover the project. So is that just a hope and a prayer, or is that something that's firm, or can you give more detail on really, can we expect that, truly expect that or not?
Mayor and Councilmember Neese. So I inherited this project. I wasn't here for those conversations, but through different conversations that I've had with my team, it is reported that yes, the Mustangs would contribute more. That's not in writing that I've ever seen, nor is it in contractual agreement of any kind.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that.
Anything else for our presenter? All right, seeing none, this is a public hearing issue. So I am going to open this up for public comment on this. Is there any comment regarding this item number 2 on the agenda? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion. Got a lot of hands. Who says first? Mr. Aspenleiter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve resolution approving and adopting FY26 budget amendments as recommended by staff.
Ms. Shaw seconds. Any discussion regarding the motion? Mr. Kennedy?
With the topic that Councilman Aspenlander just brought up, I would like to see exactly how much the Mustangs are paying for this and the other improvements that we had, because I think that will play a big part on the agreement contract with the Mustangs coming up. And so if we can have that information to us at either our next budget hearing or a work session. Thank you.
Anything else regarding the motion? Seeing nothing, let's call for a vote. All those in favor of Mr. Aspenleiter's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say no. That motion passes 11-0. Item number 3.
Item number 3, public hearing and resolution creating SID 1430 Annafeld subdivision, 6th and 7th filing streetlights and park improvements. Staff recommends approval.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight I bring you a park and some street lights for Annafeld subdivision. There's a couple little parts there, and we are going to be constructing those via SID. Now we're stuck. There we go. Just a little map of the improvements proposed. On the left-hand side of the screen is the park that the funds will be used to actually develop and improve the park. There's some lines, red lines around the park that are some of the streetlights. There's additional streetlights on the right-hand side of the screen. Those are the 2 improvements comprising the project. Just a little bit of where this is. Legion Road is kind of on the north. East Lane is kind of on the west side of the park there, but those kind of show the 2 areas where we're doing improvements. This is a little bit of the math behind that these are spread over a couple different subdivision filings. Also here tonight, Greg McCall with McCall Development, in case you have any questions for him. And then a little bit on the schedule, we had the resolution of intent on your agenda on May 11th. Tonight is the resolution to create the district. And then you have an agenda item right after this for the bids for the streetlights. Now our recommendation is to reject those bids, and it's our intent to rebid that. We have line of sight, so we don't think that's an issue. And then the park improvements have already been bid. That bid award is forthcoming, and then we look to have the project constructed by November, probably those assessments on the taxes in the winter. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
I think Greg, if there's any questions for Greg there too.
Does Mr. McCall have anything he'd like to present for us? Okay. Any questions for our presenter? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion. No, I'm sorry. I'll ask for public comment. I'd like to open a public hearing on this item. If you'd like to say anything about it, please come forward, tell us your name, where you live, and take your 3 minutes. Any public comment? All right, seeing none, now I will call for a motion. Ms. Shaw?
Sure. Having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve a resolution creating SID 1430 as recommended by staff.
Second.
Ms. Aguirre seconds. Any discussion regarding the motion? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. That motion carries. We move to item 3A.
And Mayor, there will not be any staff presentation. This was a consent
All right,
item.
thank you. Yes, Mr. Neese.
I make a motion to, I guess, approve the recommendation to reject item 3A bids.
How about we simplify and just say, I move to reject all the bids. That be okay?
Okay,
Yeah.
I move a motion to reject all the bids.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. Is there a second, Ms. Shaw?
No, well, yes, but doesn't this need a public hearing? Because we didn't have it. It was part of the consent. But consent has a public hearing.
They did.
Oh, well, you're right. That's
Just checking.
the way I see it. Ms. Parliamentarian,
No,
since
you moved it.
consent had a public hearing on it, Ms. Shaw thinks that, and I think I agree, that this would require a public hearing too.
I'm sorry, the consent agenda doesn't require a public hearing?
No, it doesn't require one, but it did have one. So on this item now that we have 3A, should this have a public hearing?
The consent agenda does not have a public hearing. It did not have a public hearing.
All right.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's just roped
There was a
into-
public comment
okay.
period prior to, but not a public hearing.
I'm not trying to make this more difficult. So if we don't need it, yes, I'll second it.
All right, very good. But thank you for that. I want to make sure we're doing things right. Any discussion regarding the motion to reject the bids? All right, seeing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor of rejecting the bids, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. That passes 11-1. Item number 4.
Public hearing and resolution setting FY27 street maintenance district assessments. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. This item before you is for a public hearing and approval of street maintenance district fees for FY27. So several items are affecting the expenses in our street maintenance district funds. First, of course, is inflation. It's increasing, it seems like every month right now. I think everybody sees it at the gas pumps. We're seeing it in Public Works as well. Then we also had about $1.2 million of additional expenses that we have for FY27. Some of these are personnel, no added positions for FY27. This is just COLAs per the Teamsters contract, step increases, and health insurance increases. We also have some property and liability insurance increases. We had to add a couple $100,000 for a Zimmerman rockfall mitigation that is recommended. And then we have some grid smart processor upgrades. These are for our traffic signals at $225,000. And then the last couple on the list are capital projects that were approved in the CIP to increase the first one, traffic calming, by $50,000 a year, paver funding by 10% per year to get us to where we need to be in our schedules for overlay and chip seals. As a reminder, right now we're at about 31-year life on overlays, where we're trying to get to 15. And for our chip seals, we're at about 23 years and trying to get to 8 years. So Street Maintenance District 1 is that area shown in blue, essentially the downtown area. And it only funds two functions that the residents or the property owners in that district have asked for. One is additional sweeping, and the second is additional snow plowing and removal services above and beyond what the rest of Billings gets. Because we only have those two functions and we had a really light snow year, we do have excess reserves in that fund right now, and so we are recommending no increase for FY27. Street Maintenance District 2 is the entire city of Billings, including those properties in District 1. And we are recommending an increase of 6.1%. So the average annual property owner would see an increase annually of about $13.19. And we would increase revenues by about $1.1 million. And we are recommending approval tonight, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Any questions for our presenter? Mr. Kennedy?
Jennifer, if we're going to increase the cost for maintenance on these roads, and in my district, we have a lot of areas that they did work on the roads, but they've never chip sealed and they've never gone from curb to curb. Are we going to see some more of that in Ward 3? Are we going to push it down the road for a while?
Councilmember Kennedy, we have been chip sealing all over the city. I don't know the specific schedule for chip sealing for FY27, but we can get that to you in the prioritization.
I would
of
like
those
to
roads.
see what we're doing in Ward 3.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. At the risk of bringing something that doesn't really apply to this, but it does sort of having to do with money. The Zimmerman Trail, that Rockfall fund on there. Zimmerman Trail was shut down for a day last week, I think. What's the condition of that? Is that does more work need to be done there? More funds expended? How's it look?
Councilmember O'Donnell, the maintenance went well. We do have to shut that down annually just because there's no other way to do maintenance on that road. Yeah. But the maintenance went well enough that we were able to open it back up early because not as much was needed as we thought had been.
Thank you. Every time I drive that road, though, I keep one eye to the left. Yeah, I realize all those rocks that used to be up on top are now on the bottom.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pittman?
So on Street Maintenance District 1, are we having conversations with the state on assisting with additional services as well?
Councilmember Pittman, we're having conversations with the state on all of our roads as far as perhaps taking over some of their roads. At this point, I don't know that they would pay us to maintain it to the level of service that we would want to maintain it to. I think right now they are advocating to pay us for just the level of service that they would do. That's where we're at right now, but we're still working at that.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Ray? All right, this is an item scheduled for a public hearing. So I will open the podium to a public hearing. Please come forward, tell us who you are, where you live, and take your 3 minutes.
1, 2, 3. Mr. Mayor, council members. Paul Clark, Ward 1. Street maintenance is just up. Mr. Kennedy and I have visited at the South Side Task Force, and we're both in agreement that some of that monies that I just heard, we don't know what to do with because we had a nice light winter. Perhaps we can send in a team on the 6th Street underpass and clean that out just as much as Mr. O'Donnell, Councilmember O'Donnell, is worried about the rim rocks. I too am worried about pigeons and safe traffic for the young people that run up there to the 6th Avenue for convenient shopping. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of human traffic. Please make sure that we have safety with that. So yes, and we're gonna ask for some volunteers with this, of course, and I know I have Mr. Kennedy helping us. Greatly appreciated. On a side note, I went through the Citizens Police Academy And I tell you what, that was really good advice. Thank you. Opened up a lot of avenues. At one point, they had to finally tell me to quit asking questions. So success. All right, God bless.
Any other public comment regarding item number 4? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. And that moves us to the time for a motion. Call for Ms. Shaw.
It having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve a resolution setting annual street maintenance district assessments for FY27 as recommended by staff.
Is there a second, Mr. Boyette? Mr. Boyette? Yes, Mr. Boyette seconds. Mr. Kennedy has a comment.
Mr. Clark, put on your calendar for Thursday, June 18th. That's 2 weeks from a week out from this Thursday, 9:30 a.m. We will have a crew down there cleaning out the 6th Street underpass, and we will then work with the street department at 11 o'clock. They'll work with us to get the street sweepers there. But yes, we bring your blower, bring your shovel, wear a mask. There's a lot of crap out there, but we'll be cleaning it up. Thank you.
Any other comment regarding the motion? By the way, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of Ms. Shaw's motion on item number 4, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no.
Nay.
Is that you, Mr. Neese? Mr. Neese is in. Mr. Neese was a no. The motion passes 10-1. Item number 5.
Public hearing and resolution setting FY27 storm sewer system fee rates. Staff recommends approval.
Mayor and council, this next item is for the public hearing and adoption of our storm fees for FY27. So just make sure that we're kind of covering everything here. Just several years ago, we did do an extensive study, for those of you newer to council, that looked at all of our stormwater needs across the system and set up a newer system for us. So in the study, it identified about $160 million of needs in the stormwater system, and we developed various programs to address some of these needs over time. Council approved the version that would address our deferred maintenance and our flood protection capital in 15 years, as well as our larger capital projects over a 25-year period. And this would be done with a 7-year rate ramp up. So that's what we're in the middle of right now. The methodology that we approved with this whole stormwater study and moving it to the utility bill was to charge all of our storm fees by equivalent residential unit. And so what we did was, with our GIS that annually flew the project or flew the city, they also gathered the impervious data for us. And we add that together, divide it by how many residential units that we have, and it comes to 3,751.22 square feet, and that is what we call 1 ERU. So every single family in the city is charged for 1 ERU. Duplexes and vacant properties are charged for 0.75, and then commercial is charged for their actual impervious area divided by that ERU number of 3,751. So where we're at right now is in the 3rd year of our rate implementation in that 7-year ramp up. So the current rate is $8.81. We're asking to move it to the next level at $9.96 per the original study. And this would be an increase for the average residential fee of about $1.15 and increase our storm revenues by about $1.3 million. Even with the increase, we're kind of in the middle of the pack and competitive for storm fees across the region. And that is all I have for the presentation, but can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for our presenter? All right, seeing none, this one calls for a public hearing also. So I'll open the meeting to a public hearing on item number 5. Anybody who wants to comment on item number 5? Anyone that'd like to comment on item number 5? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion. Ms. Aguirre?
Having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve a resolution setting FY27 storm sewer system fee rates as recommended by staff.
Mr. Boyette seconds. Is that correct, Mr. Boyette? Mr. Kennedy wants to comment.
Mr. Mayor, I will be voting against this. And the reason I'm voting against this is I have been waiting over a year and a half to have the private businesses that have stormwater containment on their property. We were supposed to be addressing that. It has not been addressed. We were told it during the budget committee meeting that will come up at a later time. We've been talking about this for a long time, and there are businesses. This looks nice that it's only $1 increase. Businesses will be paying a lot more. And so I'm going to vote no until we finally get this situation straightened out. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pittman.
So I'll just go on the opposite of that. I'm going to vote for this with the understanding that we are proceeding and that within the short period of time, we're going to have a presentation on how we can mitigate those that are actually retaining the storm water on their property.
All right, any other conversation or debate? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote on Ms. Aguirre's motion to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
Nay.
Mr. Kennedy and Dr. Nicholson are. Was that you, Mr. Neese? You disguised your voice. Mr. Neese, you threw your voice one chair left. I apologize, Dr. Nicholson. All right, motion passes.
Item number 6, public hearing and resolution approving and adopting the FY27 budget. Staff recommends approval.
Hi, Mr. Zoller.
Good.
We're ready
Good
for you.
evening. No presentation. We're available for questions. Thanks. Oh. All right. Well, I don't have a slide on it, but I just wanted to start by giving a little bit of background on. You guys all obviously know what we've been through. More for the benefit of the public. This is a brief presentation, not because we're asking you to rubber stamp a budget, but because you guys have put a lot of time and work into this already. Most of this presentation is going to focus on the proposed amendments that we've talked about and have been shared with you guys. But we've been through 4 work sessions, multiple budget and finance committee meetings, and then there'll be some recommendations coming out of that for this budget as well. So that's why it's an abbreviated presentation here, just showing this year's budget, largely funded by charges for services. Those are internal and external. And we do have some debt proceeds for capital projects, and then property taxes, those being the major funding sources for the city at $465 million in FY27. To cover $447 million in expenses, primarily personnel and operations and maintenance. There's the categories by dollar amount. Some of the large capital projects in this year's budget, the Cell 6 expansion at the landfill, transportation projects throughout the city, some water projects on 48th Street. continuing to work at the airport for the ticket counter project, as well as a new fire truck up there. And then the $10 million for South Park pool renovation funded by the TIF district is in the FY27 budget. The FY27 budget, as you are aware, has 19 new FTE in there. A good portion of them associated with new facilities, that being the rec center set to open here later this summer, and the new West End water plant. The estimated increase in mills to fund the budget is an increase in 11 mills. We won't know that actual number until late August. You guys will set those once we have that actual information from the Montana Department of Revenue. This is estimating, this will generate about a 3% increase in tax revenue. With that increase in taxes, as well as the street maintenance district rates that you just approved, this will be an annual increase to the median home of about $42 a year compared to last year. The budget's also built on some increases in monthly utilities, and that monthly increase for the average home would be $4.35 a month. And then I'm going to move into the budget amendments that were shared with the staff memo as well as emailed to council. I guess I'll maybe pause there, Mayor, if there's any questions regarding the budget overall, or if you want me just to move on to the budget amendments and highlight them.
Let's go ahead and finish your presentation. We'll open it up to some questions that way.
Okay. All right. So there were 5 amendments that came out of the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. They were attached to your staff memo. I've tried to just really summarize them here. The first one was to reduce the mayor and council's council contingency fund from $35,000 down to $5,000. Take that $30,000, put it in city administration. That's all within the general fund, but for specific management and professional development. So there's a net zero change to the general fund for this amendment. This one was recommended 5-0. Next one was to reduce the administration of the downtown tax increment fund to the DBA from $258,000 to $183,850. This one was recommended 4-1. The next one, kind of tied to that last one, was to increase the budget in this downtown TIF as well as the BID to cover cooperative safety. If you remember from that presentation, that's the downtown police officers, the outreach team, security, and there might be a fourth one I'm missing, but those are the 3 major components. If this one is approved, you'll see the bid assessment reflecting that as well. So this would increase the bid slightly from what's in there, and the assessment then would match that. And then also this would increase the amount we have set aside for cooperative safety in the downtown TIF. The next one was to reduce the legal department budget by 1 FTE by removing one of the vacant positions. Last year, we held a variety of vacant positions open across the city with the intention of trying to get them filled as funding allowed in the future. This budget included funding 2 of those vacant positions. Those 2 vacant positions were a prosecutor and a victim witness specialist. I believe your budget amendment form says paralegal, and that's my mistake. When we were talking about it at the committee, I was under the impression that it was an attorney and a paralegal, but Gina informed me that's not the case. The committee also asked for some additional information regarding these positions. So if this one gets introduced, Gina has slides to provide some additional information on these positions. And the 5th Budget and Finance Committee amendment was to remove the commercial code enforcement officer, which is in the FY27 budget, and bring it back if sufficient tax revenue would allow that to occur. This is kind of the opposite of what administration was recommending, which was put it in there, but don't fill it until property tax revenue would demonstrate it could occur. But again, that would be the recommendation from the committee. And then finally, Councilmember Shaw sent one out after talking to me about dedicating specifically the marijuana excise tax revenue go to fund the city hall debt. This change will be no net change on the general fund. Currently, the budget assumes all the majority of the marijuana tax revenue is going to go into the general fund, and then a portion of that debt payment gets transferred from the general fund into the debt fund. By doing this, we would eliminate that transfer, but also reduce the revenue coming into the general fund because it would directly go into the city hall debt fund. So there's no net change in the general fund because revenues would decrease, but so would expenses by the same amount. The purpose of this is so that the marijuana tax revenue is dedicated specific for this debt payment, and once it's paid off, then council could reallocate for other purposes. So those are the amendments that I'm aware of and that I saw emails on. Again, this is a public hearing for process this evening. I recommend you make a motion to adopt the budget, second that, and then start adding amendments on. And I would think it's probably cleanest to consider them one at a time rather than in bulk, but of course that's up to you guys. With that, Mayor, that's my presentation and happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Mr. Zoller. Do we have questions for Andy? Mr. Espenlander? No questions? Questions, Mr. Neese?
Thank you, Mayor. Andy, real quick, you were talking about the overall budget amount. Do you know how many mills over the stated charter that this budget is needed to fund? Approximately, I know we won't know the exact amount until September or so, but.
Yeah, so I'm not going to try to add these up here. Well, actually, I am going to try to add them up in my head slowly. But our charter cap number was 203 mills.
Right.
That did not include any mills for GO. Those are approved separately. So this budget assumes 255 mills, but we have 6.5 GO mills in there as well. So 48, 49 mills or so.
So this budget that we're looking at approve is approximately 48 mills over what our charter would, our stated charter would approve for funding. Do I understand that correctly?
Over the number that was in the charter, yes.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Kennedy?
Andy, if you look at item, let's see, increase BFC3, increase the cooperative safety budget in downtown TIF and bid to be split 50-50. What is that total cost?
I don't know offhand. I think it's in the staff memo. I'd have to pull that up and take a look. But I will prep for that if that one comes up. But I believe it was.
Because my biggest concern is that we're paying for public safety or more officers in the downtown area, where we really do need more officers in the downtown area. And we're paying for it out of TIF and bid when my whole thing was to add the money to pay for these to the chief's budget, and that would come from marijuana money. So I just wanted to know what's the dollar amount.
Mr. Mayor, I believe the dollar amount is $204,000 per. So
yeah, I think it's
408,000.
I think that's correct.
Combined.
Yeah, should be right around 400,000. 3 officers plus the other items. Yeah.
All right. So this would this portion, the 233,000, is contributing to the city hall debt. The other $500,000 is going, the the total allocation for 467 is what this amendment is to move towards paying off the debt of City Hall, correct? This amendment that we just received.
This one is only to move 234,000 of the marijuana money into the debt
so
fund.
if we
not
were
all
able
of
to
it.
do that, that would reduce from the downtown TIF and the bid by whatever they're paying out, 234,000.
I think you would have a gap in your general fund of 234,000 if you took it and used it to cover the cooperative safety expenses.
We would have a,
You would have a gap in your general fund.
why?
Because currently those are being used to fund general fund and public safety expenses that are already in the budget. So if we took
if you
TIF
take
funds,
if you take this amount of money to pay down the debt, where would you fill the gap for public safety?
the general fund is already contributing through a transfer to the debt fund. This is just going to directly put the marijuana money in the debt fund rather than having a transfer, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the money was going into the public safety fund. Now it's going to go into the debt fund, and we'll save the money and put it into the public safety fund. It's just a shuffle of dollars then.
Well, I guess to be clear, it's going into the general fund, not the public safety fund. And I think to characterize it as a shuffle may be a fair characterization, but it is truly saying these marijuana funds are being used to pay the debt, so that when that debt's paid off, they can be used for something specific to whatever council wants at that point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really there isn't any money that we could save and put into public safety for downtown at this time.
Not at this time, no.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our presenter? Mr. Nishi, or Mr. Aspenlater, you want to say something? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Zoller. We'll now open up this item to a public hearing. This is regarding the FY27 budget. There any public comment regarding the budget?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jeff Kettleson. I live at 489 South 44th Street in the 5th Ward. Concerning item B3, I am against increasing the budget for the downtown business improvement district to run their own private security force. The downtown business improvement district has set boundaries. Inside of the boundaries, there's approximately 1,040 pieces of property. These pieces of property voted to create the downtown business improvement district, and the city tonight, through their budgeting process and also this budget amendment, is using property taxes that we, the citizens of the rest of the city, have paid into the city for our basic city services. If there's a problem downtown, which I really don't see it, but if there is, then you should have the police department increase their patrols down there. But what you're doing in this process is creating a special district that requires an additional layer of administration that costs the citizens additional money. Basically, we're being forced to pay 2 times. We pay our regular taxes, and then you create this other entity that really deserves more scrutiny, in my opinion. You know, I'd like to remind the people that the downtown business improvement district didn't properly file their taxes in 2023 and 2024, they were notified by the state of Montana Revenue Department of this violation. They were instructed to produce a audited financial return that, according to their website, should have been done within 6 weeks. Here we're 6 months later. We still haven't seen their return. They're hiding something. This is not good. Furthermore, about the Downtown Business Improvement District, their meetings don't show on our calendar, their agendas don't show on our calendar, and their meeting minutes don't show. This is in a clear violation of the Montana Public Meeting Act, and that's a terrible thing. So I firmly recommend that we don't fund at all the Downtown Business Improvement District, and this amendment not be passed. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Chris Glenn. I live at 209 Yellowstone Avenue, Ward 1, the beating heart of Billings. I haven't heard it yet tonight, so. I am here to comment on the amendment for the TIF and trying to equalize the budget for those three. And there wasn't a lot of detail there, obvious for me to see, but I feel like they're very different. The three TIF districts are very different, and trying to equalize that budget for all of them is kind of like giving a school that has 50 students the same budget as a school that has 150 students. And so you need to kind of balance it. And I worked in the military contracting. I was in the military. And one of the things we had was award fees. And so we were given a bonus based on our performance. And that was a consequential thing for our contract when we worked. We wanted to maximize our award fee. 100% is what we wanted. So they have already cut their budgets, the different TIF districts, at your request, which I think that's awesome. But I would like to see them incentivized. It's like, rather for the next year, show how much you can gain, use that budget as an incentive tailored to the size of the TIF district and how they work, so that I think incentive is a really good thing. It helps us to be more creative and to be, well, I guess just more creative and try to get more bang for the buck. So thank you.
Further comment regarding item 6?
Mr. Mayor, council members, Paul Clark, Ward 1, South Side Triangle. So some of that money that you're operating, Council Member Shaw, is the $234,000 that would generate from the marijuana dispensaries in the county, or what's considered in the city. That money that's being brought up to help pay that debt down. Perhaps once that debt's paid down, then we've got the South Side pool at around $9 million. Let's not let that go lay down. There's a lot of people that fought for that. So maybe that $234,000 in a couple years can help us pay for that. God bless.
More comment on item 6? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of that item, and we'll move to motions. But beforehand, Mr. Aspenleiter has some. Okay, beforehand, just a little bit of housekeeping. I understand we're going to have a number of amendments. So I'd like Mr. Aspenleiter, being from the Finance Committee, to make the initial motion. And then we'll take the amendments one at a time. And I think, Mr. Aspenleiter, you can move us through that, and then we can debate those. Is that all right with everybody? All right, that'll help me keep my head clear. Item 6, or Amendment 6, Ms. Shaw, would you be kind enough to offer that? Okay, we'll do that then. So can we have a motion? We have an underlying motion coming up, yes. So do we have a motion, Mr. Aspenleiter?
Yeah. So having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve a resolution approving and adopting the FY27 budget as recommended by staff.
Second.
Dr. Nicholson.
Got it right.
All right. Any discussion regarding
So
the motion?
I'll just kick this off briefly. I see a lot of the directors are back there just waiting for the shenanigans on the budget because this has been a relatively uneventful budget season. I think this is the fastest one that I've ever seen, and we only have 6 amendments up on the docket, which I think I had 6 amendments myself the first time I did the budget 3 years ago. So I think this is a testament to the work that the Budget and Finance Committee did. I think it's also a testament to the work the directors did in working with Budget and Finance and working with the finance team and the administration. We are continuing to get better at this, and I think council is continuing to get more concise about what we're looking for and communicating more clearly, and I think you're seeing that play itself out in the most important job that we have as council members, which is setting the budget. So I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the work that went into it from the staff and from the council and the committee. This is a good budget. We've put a lot of effort into it and a lot of time hacking and stacking and dissecting and settling on some good changes. So kudos to the staff. There are very few amendments to what came, and I think that's a testament to the work that you guys did, and I appreciate that as chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. So with that, if isn't any further comments, I'll introduce the first budget amendment.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Mr. Aspenleiter.
So I move to amend the motion to include Budget and Finance Committee Amendment 1, reducing the mayor and council contingency fund from $35,000 to $5,000 and moving $30,000 into a management and professional development fund under the city administration budget.
Is there a second? Mr. Neese.
Mr. Mayor, point of order or a point of information. Could we have that amendment on the screen?
It's in your attachments if you want to pull it up on your
For
computer.
everybody else.
It'll take me a second, but I'll get it up.
So I'll just speak to this quickly. This came up out of conversations with the way that we have done this historically. Historically, departments have had to take from their own internal budgets professional development dollars to help our upper level staff continue to advance and grow. I don't think that's the right place to do it. I think that should come out of the general fund. It should come out of the budgets. It shouldn't come out of the Parks Department or the Public Works Department or the Library Department. When people have to take this out of their own department funds, it just doesn't happen. I think we also should be investing in our leadership team and helping them advance. And I think it's appropriate for the council to get rid of its stupid slush fund that we do really dumb things with when we have it and invest it in our people. So I think it's appropriate that that money comes out of the council's wallet, not out of other general fund money. So that's the impetus behind this, and that's where we landed.
Thank you. Mr. Boyette.
Thank you. Kevin, can you give us this, what would one of these be used for? Tell me an example of what we would do with some of this funding, just so that the public understands what does that really mean?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor and Council. So, I mean, just off the top, I mean, it certainly could mean higher education classes at an accredited university. It could mean some leadership classes, that the HPO committee is looking at and stuff at this point. So it could mean any of those things.
All right, we have it up on the screen now for you, Dr. Nicholson. Any other discussion regarding amendment number 1? Ms. Parliamentarian, do we need a public hearing on the amendment?
No, you conducted your public hearing already.
Thank you very much. Then seeing no need for a public hearing, I'll ask for a vote on the amendment. All those in favor of Mr. Aspenleiter's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Amendment number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to amend the current motion to include Budget and Finance Committee Amendment number 2, reducing the downtown tax increment budget for administration from $258,102 to $183,850.
Second.
Mr. Neese seconds. I see we're up on the screen, discussion regarding the amendment motion. Mr. Aspenleiter, would you like to talk to it?
So this is probably the one we're going to have the most conversation about and the biggest split vote on. We beat this issue to death. I mean, where we landed with this was getting to all the TIF districts having an equal budget so that we're spending $450,000 across all 3 TIFs. Right now, the South TIF and the East, the eBird came in under the $150,000. So this 183, that 33,000 and change extra came out of what those 2 TIFs are not spending of that 150,000. We're allowing the downtown TIF to spend over, so our net spend on management of these 3 TIF districts is $450,000. I think that's a completely reasonable ask. I think we've tried and tried and tried. 2 of the districts got there, 1 of them did not. So here we are. I don't know what else to do, but to force the issue. So that's where the motion came from.
All right, Mr. Pittman.
So Mayor and Council, I'd like to propose a substitute motion to reduce the downtown tax increment budget for administration from $258,102 to $208,102, which is a difference of $50,000. Yep. Do you want the full motion or just the sub?
He wants to add.
So I'm just reducing it by 50,000. So instead of 258,02 down to 183,850, it would be to 208,102.
Is there a second for that?
I will second that motion for discussion.
All right, Mr. Pittman, would you like to talk to your amended amendment?
Absolutely. So I think this is kind of a compromise as we go forward. I want to give them a chance to work through this next year and kind of tighten things down and look at how their budget's going. We're putting in a new person on the city side to help them as well. We've asked them to start having more of their meetings here at City Hall. They do have a part of their fund that is $50,000 is miscellaneous or other. I think it was an attempt for them to kind of not have to come back here for budget amendments, but if they have a project that actually they would need that 50,000, then they could come back to us and we could do a budget amendment on that. But I think this is a way, instead of just totally taking it down to the 183 is a viable option.
All right, thank you, Mr. Neese.
Mayor, thank you. I think we have, as a council, have talked to the TIFs district. I've been on the council quite a while, and we have talked to them about their budget for years. And we've asked them several times, like last year's voluntarily, and some of them reduced it. And this time, before the budget book was even produced, we asked them, listen, target 150,000. And again, as Councilmember Aspenleiter said, eBird and Sabura did a good job. Can really beat our expectations as far as what they got. I think we as a city need to look at how we manage the TIF as a whole. And so that $450,000 was a good target. I think they've had enough information. I'm willing to compromise on this and support this motion to get them a little bit farther down the road, giving them a little bit more time to get their budget going and work a little bit tighter this year. And so I will support the motion this time, but hopefully expect them to be in line with the other TIF districts and management. Otherwise, a really good rationale as to why it would have to be over budget the next year come around. Thank you.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. First of all, as Mr. Assenleiter said, this has been a topic of some great conversation. And so I've given a lot of thought to it. It seems to me that TIF money is tax money and entitles itself to an almost divine characteristic, to be treated very, very well. So therefore, any waste of that money should be assiduously opposed. In discussions with other council people, the original 150,000 per TIF was brought up, and it made a lot of sense. As I've discussed with different TIF members, it seems to me that the downtown TIF in particular is using their TIF money in a very responsible way. And I was reminded that in the state statute that blight, which a TIF is meant to fight blight, has to do, one of the definitions is vacancies of buildings, also safety and security. I think the money is being used very well for those purposes right there, and needs more than one person. It's not just simply the accounting of those funds, but it's the constructive use of those funds. So I will oppose the motion, and I am in favor of keeping the downtown TIF where it is right now. And if they want to go with the 20% reduction that they came up with at the council's direction, then I can go along with that also. I'd like to mention also, one of the issues with Sabura was holding meetings here for no cost, and talking to one of the board members there who is incredibly insistent that is consistent with their mission to hold meetings within the district, which makes an awful lot of sense. So being that is one of the elements of reduction of TIF money, I would suggest that again, the money is being used appropriately. Thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you. I agree with Councilmember Aspenlater. I think some of us just see this fundamentally differently. I look at it as yes, the downtown is a TIF district like the other ones. They also do a ton of additional programming for our community to drive people downtown, which is really important. So to me, it really is very different than eBird or Sabura, and I can't get on board with a flat fee across the board. I'm not going to vote for anything that's going to reduce what is already in our budget for the TIF districts. I think they, in good faith, already came to the table, cut their own budgets by like 20%. For 1 year, I think that's great. Let's see how it goes, is where I'm coming from. And so at the last minute, to hack it off another 50 grand, something like that, feels like pulling the rug out from under all this work that has already gone into it. So that's my position, and I'm hoping that we can just pass it as what is currently in the budget.
Mr. Kennedy?
You know, we discussed this a long time. And now, during the budget committee, we had added another about 25,000, 34,000 to the budget that none of the other TIF districts are using. Councilman Pittman has just made a motion for an additional 25. So we are looking at an additional 59,000 to move into this district. That's, as Councilwoman Shaw just said, to attract people downtown. Well, you know, are we going to have 200,000 asked by the Sabura to attract people over to South Billings Boulevard next year? Are we going to have an additional 59,000 asked by eBird to attract people to the east side? So, you know, I'm willing to look at the additional 25 for this year. But I think one thing is we are going to go back to the base that we had established at 450,000 for administration of the TIF districts. And if there are businesses or other folks that want to put in more money to bring people in, or the chamber wants to put in more money or whatever, that's great. Just because it's in your district, they're the ones that get the lion's share of all the TIF money, and I don't think so. I think we're treating everyone the same. When we see a Heights TIF district, they're going to want as much administrative costs as they can get also. So I think we need to bring it back under control. I will support the amendment for this year. Next year, where they were able to cut, they're going to have to look at where the rest of the financing is coming from for next year. So at this late date, I'm willing to go with the amendment. Next year, I think we need to reduce the administrative costs. I'm also looking for the dollars that the police department actually puts the money into safety downtown and all over town, that we're not expecting one group of people to pay for that safety. Thank you.
Ms. Aguirre.
Thank you. I would like to commend Councilmember Pittman for your middle ground offer. That I wasn't expecting that, and that was really thoughtful. I have talked with Katie and Mehmet about their process. When they cut their budget by 21% to bring to council for approval, I thought that was really good work. And then to find out that they're being instructed for another 23, which is a 44% reduction in their annual budget. I don't know any organization that could function by having to almost reduce their budget by half. It felt personal, which I don't think that this is what this should be about. It should be about the work that's being done and doing so responsibly. So I love the middle ground amendment proposal, but I'm afraid I can't support it because I too would like the original budget of the 258,000. I would love to see that passed.
Mr. Lindley.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to say, thanks for, I do also appreciate the middle ground amendment. When I think about this, for me, the value that comes out of the different programs for downtown, if I think about the things that would be lost, and I work downtown, although I live in Ward 4, I guess I work in the beating heart of Billings, have for many, many years. I do think that the reduction as presented in the budget makes sense. Candidly, I think that there could be and should be some better reporting of those programs, as much as they are valuable to downtown. And I do think, speaking with other business owners in downtown, those programs that have been around for many years, a lot of them are extremely valuable. But I do think that the request that council has made, and I think will continue to make, no doubt, to get better reporting on ROI for all the programs is going to be extremely important. But I also think that I don't want to see things go away so drastically in a single year. Could downtown function with the proposal, the original 183 proposal? Certainly. But then I think what is going to be cut and what's the impact going to be to downtown, which is such an important part of Billings. So I'm going to support the original, what was in the budget, and not support the amendment.
I'll support the amendment. I don't like it. because I think we've worked on this. And I'm telling you, this kind of stuff is going to drive us right back to the conversation about consolidated management. And I'll carry the flag on that. The whole point of this was starting
Excuse me,
to,
Mr. Ashman, which amendment are you, which?
the one we're talking about.
2.1.
That's the substitute,
Yeah.
the compromise. Good,
Yeah.
thank you.
I will support it, but I'm telling you, this is going to take us right back to consolidation. And we're going to battle that one out. And that's going to be punitive to the two districts that did what we asked them to do. And so we're going to go down this road, regardless of what happens in this vote. But we're going to talk about consolidation. I disagree 100%, Councilmember Aguirre, that this is personal in any way, shape, or form. It has absolutely not been. We have had frank and hard conversations and asked for very direct information and not been provided that. Asking for show me return on investment. Like, I don't know how much more we can ask that of any department, any director, any program. I don't care if it's a TIF program. I don't care if it's a public works program. Show me the return on investment. Show me that what we are spending is returning. I think if anybody's paid attention to this council, that's what we've dug into and asked repeatedly for. And yet very few people come prepared with that. Show me the return on investment. That's been asked and it has never been provided. And that's why we have these very stark differences in how we approach this. So I'll support the substitute amendment and we'll see how this shakes out. But we're headed back to a consolidation conversation.
Further comment regarding Dr. Nicholson?
I'm not going to support the amendment again. The $258,102 budget was 21% decrease from what they had originally, and so they were asked to reduce their budget, and they did. They've been doing good work downtown in the last 5 years. They've helped fill over 80 storefronts, approaching 90 storefronts. They're making downtown a place where someone who wants to do a big project would be willing to bet on it. So I won't support the amendment, with all respect.
Anybody else? All right, this is a vote on amendment, for lack of a better term, 2.1, the amendment to Amendment 2 by Mr. Pittman to change the amount to $208,102. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Can we have a show of hands for aye? Councilmember Boyette, Aspenleiter, Kennedy, Pittman, and Neese. And for no, hands, Councilmember Shaw, Nicholson, Aguirre, Mayor Nelson, Councilmember Lindley, and Councilmember O'Donnell. Okay, so if my math is right, that was a no, and that moves us to Amendment 2. All right, we haven't had discussion on the amendment. Is there any discussion, Mr. Aspenlight? I think you've already spoken to it. Any other discussion on Amendment number 2? All right, we'll move to a vote, and let's do, I'm guessing, a show of. All right, Amendment number 2. Thank you, Mr. Boyette. Offered by Mr. Aspenleiter to reduce the downtown tax increment budget for administration from $258,102 to $183,850. All right, and since this is probably going to be close, I ask that we do by show of hands. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Councilmember Boyette, Aspenleiter, Kennedy, and Neese. And all those opposed, show your hands. Councilmember Shaw, Councilmember Nicholson, Pittman, Aguirre, Mayor Nelson, Councilmember Lindley, and Councilmember O'Donnell. So that's a no. Amendment number 3.
Amendment number 3. I move to amend the motion with Budget and Finance Committee Amendment number 3, increasing the cooperative safety budget and the downtown TIF and BID to be split 50-50.
Is there a second? Mr. Kennedy seconds. All right, Mr. Aspenleiter, could you tell us about this?
Nope, I'm done talking about TIFs.
Are there any questions, Mr. Neese?
Yeah, and I may have to have Andy fill this in, but I believe the split used to be 25 tip, 75 bid. Is that, you remember that in the conversation? How's that? Better? Andy, it was 75-25, which 75 came out of bid, 25 out of TIF?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And so this was an increase to give TIF more money for this program by 25% of the cost.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how does this relate to their budget? Because we just approved a larger budget in that.
Yeah, this does not come out of the administration. This
Okay.
is a program within the TIF fund. So they're separate line items in there.
Okay. And so this is going to increase their program spend by a couple $100,000, 150.
Yeah, I believe it takes it up from right around 100,000 to 204.
Okay. All right.
And we'll
Thank you.
reduce it in the bid then, I think. Although we have, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. Any other questions? Can you take us through the mechanics of how this works, Andy?
Well, the program's funded by BID and TIF and always has been. It's really just the allocation between the two that's changing. When we brought the proposed budget to you, I believe the BID had made this recommendation, but the TIF fund didn't reflect that. So in order to make that kind of all sync up, this one needs to happen. So they're covered 50-50 between the BID and the TIF. So when I guess maybe I'd ask for some clarification on.
Does this change anybody's assessments?
I'm going to maybe rely on Katie. I don't know that it does change anything in the bid assessment, but I don't know for sure.
Mayor and Council, Mayor Nelson, the answer is no. The assessment value formula does not change this year. The bid board voted to not increase the assessment value for this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding the motion? All right, seeing none, I guess it's time for a vote. All those in favor of amendment number 3, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Was that you, Mr. Neese? Thank you, Mr. Neese. Mr. Neese is in opposition. Amendment passes. It's 7:13. We're going to take a 10-minute break.
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Aspenleiter.
I'd move to amend the underlying motion, the underlying budget motion with Budget and Finance Committee Amendment number 4 to reduce the city legal department budget by the cost of 1 FTE. And I'm gonna leave it at that. We're not gonna give it dictate the position.
Mr. Kennedy seconds. Do we have any
I don't,
further?
I think the only way we're gonna have further is if somebody asks the question, because we're in council action at this point. So I'm not gonna ask for further clarification from staff.
Thank you. Any questions?
Somebody else can.
Any questions for Mr. Zoller?
I'll just speak to the motion. I think the conversation that we had in Budget and Finance around this was, we've went without these 2 positions last year. There wasn't clear and concise justification for why they were needed in the budget presentation that we had. And so this was a meet in the middle. We'll give you one, but not the other. I think the other discrepancy here is that I'm fairly certain, if you go back and look at the presentation that was given to us, that this originally was presented as a paralegal and a secretary. And now it's presented as an attorney and a VW. Somewhere along the lines that switched in this process. And I'm not sure what that is, but when we went through the original budget presentation on this, it was not presented that way. So this is a meet in the middle proposition to say, we'll give you one back and then prove it and come back with a need for a second next year.
Thank you, Mr. Aspenleiter. Any other discussion or questions? Ms. Shaw?
I'm going to vote against this because this is so tough, but I feel like funding the city attorney's office is how we get cases through. We're having all these great conversations about domestic violence. It's been very helpful. I don't want to see our legal staff be penalized in any way. So that's where I'm coming from with it of, I think they do need these positions. I don't disagree that it wasn't as clear as it probably could or should have been in the budget presentation. So I think that's a good note for the future. But I'm going to vote against the amendment for that reason.
Mr. Kennedy?
As we talked about this in the budget hearing and we looked, and precisely we have done without for 2 years, but we do have plenty of dollars and we do a lot of contract work to outside attorneys. So we do have a funding budget there. We just had another case that we had an outside attorney settle another issue just a week ago. So we do go for a lot of outside counsel. So I don't think this is detrimental, and I would just ask everyone to support it and move forward.
I do have a question of clarification regarding what the amendment does. I got me a little confused, I'm sorry. Mr. Aspenleiter said they originally asked for 2, and this would reduce it to 1 extra, or are we cutting in 1 from the 26?
We're cutting 1 from what the authorized level is. These are currently authorized but unfilled positions. They're vacancies that were held over the last fiscal year.
So we're
eliminating one of the positions and allowing the other one to be filled.
So, okay, giving them half of what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the amendment? All right, time for a vote. This is Mr. Aspenleiter's motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Ms. Aguirre and Dr. Nicholson were in opposition, and Ms. Shaw. Okay, that motion passes. Amendment number 5.
This is the last one I'll present. The last Budget and Finance Committee, so I'll move to amend the budget by introducing Budget and Finance Committee Amendment number 5 to remove the code enforcement officer and related costs from the FY27 budget.
Thank you. Mr. Aspenleiter, do we have a second? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Kennedy wants to speak to the motion.
When we brought this up, we looked at, there wasn't enough money in the budget to be able to pay for it. We thought we would look and see if the amount of revenue generated during the year, we would come back later on in the year and address this if needed, instead of ahead of time putting the position there, have people waiting for an expectation, and the money never arrives. So we have an opportunity to bring it back in January or whatever if the money is there to fund this.
Okay, Mr. Neese, Ms. Shaw, did you want to speak? And then Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't see Tina here, but I just want to say this in no way reflects the code enforcement. They do a terrific job. It just has to do with budget. And so I look forward to hoping that we have the budget to fund this position later on, but I think it's just a budget process. But our code enforcement is a great team. Wyeth, Tina works under you. And so, Kevin, you got a team there with code enforcement. So thank you very much and look forward to seeing this come back as an amendment sometime.
Thank you. Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. So this amendment and the last amendment have to do with cutting FTEs. The conversation that I have heard from people who have experience in the past is that the city is in very, very important need of a public information officer. Does this have any effect of increasing funds for that availability?
No, sir, it doesn't.
I'm saying, at what point is this the point for the budget to talk about?
Point of order.
No, that was during the prior process, but we're here to talk just specifically about this amendment, Mr. O'Donnell.
Well, yeah, my question is, at what point could I bring that up about public information?
Point of order.
Officer?
He's right.
Stick to the amendment.
Mr. O'Donnell.
I didn't hear the answer.
So we're here to speak about this amendment today.
True.
If you'd like to bring an amendment later, you can do that, but not at this time.
I just wondered what effect this had on that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, anybody else? All right, we'll move to a vote then on amendment number 5. To remove the commercial code enforcement officer and related costs from the FY27 budget. However, if tax revenue is sufficient when known in the fall, bring back the budget amendment to consider adding it back in. Is that correct, Mr. Aspenlater? Okay, that's the motion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. The amendment passes. Amendment number 6. Ms. Shaw.
I'll go ahead and introduce it, and then I would like to speak to it if there's a second. I move to direct $467,065 in marijuana tax revenue to the City Hall Debt Repayment Fund, and if fiscally feasible, direct staff to return with a budget amendment in September to allocate the remaining $265,935 into the same fund.
Second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Shaw, seconded by Mr. Boyette. Would you like to talk to your motion?
So Andy, you jump in here if I get this wrong at all, but this is kind of just a shuffle of what money is being named, and there is a purpose behind it. But in essence, you have the marijuana money that was coming into the general fund, where it got swirled up with all the rest of the money, and then 400 and some thousand was coming out anyway to pay the debt repayment on the City Hall. This eliminates the general fund piece and just moves the marijuana money directly into the City Hall debt repayment. The purpose of that is twofold. First, it's to be very clear about where marijuana money is going and give it a concrete vector so that future council, I won't be here, but future councils, when that debt is paid off, can utilize that money for something else. Crime prevention, other council-directed initiatives, whatever that looks like. And the second purpose is to hopefully be able to escalate paying down that debt. Because I learned from Andy, we're paying like 6%, which is pretty high for a government. And so getting that off the books as soon as possible is better for the taxpayers, the city, all the departments. So it's 2 pieces in one.
Mr. Aspenlater.
I'll cautiously support this. And I say cautiously because we still don't have a contract or a clear directive yet on the Family Justice Center. And the other option that we talked about with the Family Justice Center was pulling this back into the city and putting it under the city attorney's office. And in doing so, we go from 1 mil at 250 some thousand to between 450 and $500,000 to take some of those resources on and provide some of those services. So if you take this $265,000 away, I hope that we have conclusion on the Family Justice Center contract with the Y by the time we come back with this reallocation of the 260,000. But I just ask you all to keep that in mind, because that's an unsettled issue, and that money was gonna come from this. So I'll support it, but I do not want to reallocate this other funding until we have conclusion on the Family Justice Center, because otherwise we're gonna be short.
Ms. Shaw.
I agree with that. We've had this conversation. That's the reason why I didn't put it into this initial motion, is because it's going to have to come back as a budget amendment. And so at that point, I think it's the time to have the conversation of, do we need it for the FJC? Can it go into further escalating, paying down the debt? I'm open to that. Because we don't have a line of sight to that right now, I didn't want to put that into this motion.
See, Mr. Kennedy, then Mr. Boyette.
I'm going to vote against the budget amendment. I have visited with Councilman Aspenlander about the Justice Center, which we have been looking at. I also feel at this time and at this year that we just keep everything the same. And then if we want to start talking about this to begin with through the budget committee, that would be fine in the future. I just think it's the last minute, and I'm not willing to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Boyette?
So, Andy, I don't know if you know it offhand, but you know what the balance of the debt on this building is?
Excuse me, it's right around $4 million.
$4 million. And then if this goes through, how long do you think it would take to pay this thing off then?
If we just pay on the standard term, I think we're 14 years remaining. But the discussions I've had with many of you, maybe even at this meeting, I don't recall, was that perhaps annually, after we've closed out a fiscal year, saying, all right, we've added to reserves, take a portion of that and pay it down. So I do think it's realistic you could pay that down in probably 5 years pretty easily.
And then do you know what we're paying in interest?
Yeah, it is a little over 6%. I think
Do you know how much that is a year then?
I don't know offhand. I could email that to you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion regarding the motion? All right, call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Mr. Kennedy is in opposition. Motion passes. Are there any other amendments? Mr. Neese?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to make an amendment. If I don't get a second, I'll bring it back at initiative. So if you don't want to address it this time, that's fine with me. On page 241 of the budget book, the downtown TIF district has some programs in there that actually I was here when we approved one of them, the sign program. As I got to talking about different programs, what I realized that none of them had a sunset on them. So because this is budget time, I'm going to move to set a sunset date of 12/31 of 29 for the 30,000 sign program and the 50,000 facade program. Thank you. And I'll speak to that if you don't mind, Mayor, then.
Please do, Mr. Neese.
And so I think these are probably really good programs. These are the sign programs and internal programs, so we don't hear about it unless it's through the TIF newsletter and stuff like that. I think Amy's on the TIF board; she's seen that work, and it's probably good. But in 3, 4, 5, 10 years, we don't know if that program's going to be good. And having a program that's in perpetuity is probably never a good idea. I think at some time a program should always be reviewed, and this just brings it to the attention of the TIF board themselves to say, listen, let's kind of look at these programs, see if it's working, how is it actually bringing that return on equity to the district, and then bring it back to council for renewal if it's great. Otherwise, maybe some little tweaks here and there, or maybe get rid of it altogether because they want to do something different. So I think it keeps the things, it gives, and my opinion would be to have these things come back about every 5 to 7 years. But whatever that comes back, the next time they would have a sunset date that they could set at that time. And I don't want to terminate any programs now, just set a sunset date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. Mr. Aspenleiter?
Just want to be clear that this is not a motion to kill any program. This just sets reconsideration and reauthorization dates. I think that's healthy for everything. It's certainly healthy to talk about these things and make sure that what they're doing is actually working. That's how we got into this conversation with the downtown TIF to begin with. These conversations get exponentially hard when we let them just go forever and ever. Amen. So I think this is healthy. I think we should consider this in all of the programs that we're creating some sunset dates so we don't have things in perpetuity. And I think Councilman Neese, this was a great catch, and I appreciate the motion. But we're not killing anything for all those listening out in the downtown.
Any other discussion regarding the motion? All right, Mr. Neese, before we move ahead, let's clarify the motion. You want to add a sunset date of?
$12/31 of 29.
12/31 of 2029.
2029.
Yes, sir. And you're going to sunset the sign program and
the it's the facade program.
Facade program.
I'm not aware of any other programs there, and so those are the two programs I saw in their book, in the budget book.
As managed by the downtown TIF district.
Yes.
Okay. So that's our motion by Mr. Neese, seconded by Mr. Aspenleiter. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ms. Aguirre is in opposition, but the motion passes. All right. Any other amendments to offer on the underlying motion? Hearing none, Mr. Aspenleiter.
Just close us out. I think this is the fastest we've ever adopted a budget, ever, maybe in city history. So again, thanks to everybody for the work you put in on this. It's a lot to meet every month, to go through hours and hours of budget and finance meetings, and it's a lot for us to do back-to-back sessions on this, but this is the result. And this is how it should be for the community. Us having these conversations, general agreement about how we approach most things, and certainly approach the things that matter in this community, I think sends a good, strong message to the community that we are on the right path, and we have consistency and some coalescence around a plan. So I appreciate everybody's effort, appreciate staff's effort. Thank you. And I'm waiting for Rusty to start the chant when we adopt this. All right.
Clapping aloud, Rusty. Mr. Neese and Mr. Pittman.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo everything that Councilman Aspenleiter said, so I won't repeat it, but I am going to not support this budget, only in the sense that as I took an oath to uphold our charter, and our charter, unfortunately, has a cap of the mills that has been approved by the voters. And I think we as a council needed to go to the voters and get that mill cap change converted, because that's what the state did to us. They converted the values. We should have converted our mill values as well. I think until we do that, we, unfortunately, the state put us in a bad position to have a devalued mill. And since I'm also supporting the charter, that's a part of my oath. I know some of the oaths don't include the charter anymore. Mine still did. And so I will not support the budget, but if we had done this as far as converting the mills, we would probably be under, I'm sure we'd be under our cap, and I would be supporting this budget at that time. But until we change the charter to the correct mills, I'll have to oppose the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. Mr. Pittman.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, this is the first time I've voted on something that's almost $500 million. It's kind of a surreal moment, but it's been impressive, and all the budgets I've been through, the hard work and the dedication that's been put into this, the thoughtfulness. I think our citizens can be proud that we took this seriously and understand our limitations. I like Councilmember Neese, except for I wish I could I will vote for this, but under protest. I know that's not a real vote. But I want it on the record because I do believe that the state overreached and what they did to our charter. And so while it's going to be a yes vote, it will have the side asterisk of under protest. Because I think the other thing that we have to have a talk with our community in explaining this is first time in a long time, we're anticipating the value of the mill to drop as well. So we're not comparing apples and oranges anymore. So that's another concern of mine, that there's a misunderstanding as to what's happening with our budget right now, but also a message to the state that they overreached.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. Mr. Lindley.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know if I've ever voted on $500 million or close to before either. I'm going to support this, and I thought about bringing an amendment, and I want to at least voice what it was going to be about, because I think it is going to be a discussion that I want to come back to throughout this next year, which is professional services fees that the different departments within the cities, within the city pay. I worked with Andy a little bit to take a look at it, and it's over $10 million a year that we're paying in professional services. And I'm certain that a lot of them are needed, but I think that it is time to take a step back and see why we're spending that. So I certainly didn't want to recommend anything that was just kind of a blanket percentage reduction before understanding it better. But I do think that that is a spot where we can find some money if we take a closer look in the future.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you. Question for Mr. Neese. It seems like the sentiment is that it's going to pass under protest. But the points you raise are very, very good points. What would the future look like? What would be the path forward for the city if this were to prevail at a no vote?
I don't answer a hypothetical question until after the vote. I'll answer it if it fails.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll be the last person to comment on this, and it's to thank the 5 members of the Budget Finance Committee. I saw you folks sweating bullets and a lot of other things getting to where we got. I appreciate the hard work. I appreciate especially the meeting in the middle. Nice job, everybody. And let's vote. All those in favor of approving the 2027 budget, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Way to go, Mr. Neese. Mr. Neese is in opposition, but the motion passes. And no clapping, Rusty. All right, item number 7.
East Billings Urban Renewal District Frontage and Site Improvement Program. The eBird Advisory Committee recommends approval.
Hi, folks.
Mayor, while they're getting ready. So I know I'd asked that we delay this to a work session, but we did such amazing work getting through the budget. I just say we go ahead and hear the presentation and go forward.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Heather here from BirdWorks to present you this frontage and site improvement. So I think it's important to get into urban renewal and to funds just a little bit before I go into this presentation. Over the last couple of years, I've spent a great deal of time reviewing the Montana Code, the East Billings Urban Renewal Plan, and the East Billings Master Plan. These documents serve as the foundation for every recommendation brought forward in the district. One thing that stands out is that none of these documents define the success of urban renewal districts solely by the amount of tax increment it generates. Rather, they recognize increased taxable value as one of the outcomes of successful urban renewal. Instead, these documents speak extensively about reducing blight, rehabilitating existing properties, encouraging private investment, improving safety, supporting existing businesses, enhancing the appearance of the district, and creating conditions that encourage long-term economic development. The urban renewal plan specifically states that the properties should be evaluated based on the public benefit they provide and how they contribute to the revitalization and long-term health of the district. That is the lens through which the proposed program was developed. The Frontage and Site Improvement Program is intended to provide consistent framework for evaluating smaller projects that improve the appearance, functionality, accessibility, and safety of the properties within the district. These are projects that may not result in a new building or dramatic increase in taxable value, but they do contribute to the goals outlined in the urban renewal plan by reducing blight, encouraging reinvestment, improving public-facing properties, and strengthening the district overall. Okay. All right. With that, I'll get started. So what is the Frontage and Site Improvement Program? The Frontage and Site Improvement Program is a TIF tool designed to help make smaller reinvestment projects financially feasible through increased funding assistance. The goal is to create a pathway for smaller reinvestment projects that improve the district one property at a time. They would be for things like site screening, ADA access improvements, new storefront windows, code compliant fencing, storefront activation, facade upgrades, blight reduction, safety improvements, public facing improvements, and landscaping. Funding is not automatic. Projects may receive an amount up to the maximum reward. Awards are discretionary. The maximum total project cost could be $100,000 or less, up to 50% TIF reimbursement with a maximum reimbursement of $50,000. Funding availability is considered. Council approval is required. One TIF award every 3 years. Those are some of the safeguards you could put in place for this. They could also include a funding allocation cap such as $200,000 a year for this program. This is not a new idea. Small-scale reinvestment projects are already occurring in the district. This program simply creates a dedicated and predictable framework for reviewing them. There have been 32 TIF projects in the eBird since its creation. 12 of those projects the total project was $150,000 or less. Those projects the total of combined received $460,000 in TIF assistance. The average reimbursement rate of those projects was 48.15%. 37% of all completed projects in the district have been $150,000 or less in total. This program is not intended to subsidize routine maintenance, deferred maintenance, paint-only projects, roof replacement, mechanical systems, general repairs, or anything that is not funded through TIF by the MCA. Why consider this program? This creates consistency, a formal framework for the way smaller projects have historically been funded, establishes clear eligibility requirements, funding limits, and review criteria, provides predictable expectations for the applicants and for City Council. Public benefit would encourage visible improvements to existing properties, reduces blight, and improves district appearance, and supports safety, accessibility, and compliance with district standard. at the core of this, it is about consistency, and it reflects the district's historical funding patterns for smaller projects while establishing clear policies and review criteria moving forward. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Any questions for our presenter? Ms. Shaw.
Thanks, Heather. I'm generally a fan of TIFs having their own programs like this for smaller. We just talked about the sign program downtown. I think that works really well. I guess I'm a little confused if this all still has to come to council anyway. I don't really understand what the purpose of creating a program is.
So the whole goal is to really give myself, applicants, the public, y'all, the TIF advisory committee, a consistent way that applications can come forward. Because of the way that historically our TIF projects have been funded in the district, it's really hard. And I sent you all, I think it was 2 months ago, the listing of every project we have. There does not appear to be a rhyme or reason through how those projects are funded. So it's really to create the consistency. When somebody walks through the door, I know, hey, we can give you up to 50% if your project is under this amount and just frontage facing only.
Okay, and then it's still coming to council for
Still
approval,
come to
like
council.
normal.
Ideally, consent agenda, but
I see. Okay.
yes.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. You mentioned the 48 reimbursement rate. What does that mean?
So 48% of projects that have been $150,000 or less in the district have been reimbursed at 48%. So there's been 12 small projects, what I would consider $150,000 or less, and those have been reimbursed at a higher level already. Those projects range in that funding percentage from anywhere from 30, 40%, some of them are 60. So there's really not been a consistent way that the smaller projects have been funded in the district.
Mr. Pittman and Mr. Neese.
So I guess this kind of goes back to what Councilmember Shaw just said is, are you going to set up a separate funding source for this? Because if it's just still coming out of the same TIF, what is the difference between how you're operating now, other than you're telling people that smaller projects may have a higher likelihood of being approved?
So I don't feel that it's fair to tell an applicant when they come in the door that, hey, you could have this funded anywhere between 16% at a minimum, or, at a high level, to a 50%. It's much easier to have a cap set and something that gives our advisory committee, you guys, those standards. Last week or the week before, I was here for the trackside TIF, which was one of those smaller projects, and that was not unanimously approved. And there's comments about, are these smaller things, do they move the needle? And so this is really just to create a layer of consistency and policy in it that doesn't exist.
Mr. Neese.
Thank you, Mayor. I think going back to how these are just brought on the consent agenda, there's no public hearing, just like there is no public hearing today. There's no reason why it can't just be pulled off from the consent agenda, drawn out just like it would be on a regular agenda item, and then turned down. So I'm not so sure I see a difference between a pre-approved program like the sign program like downtown is and this one. Do you see it? Do you see that there is a difference between this, or do you think it's the same? I mean, you think this is, I guess I'm just not seeing how this program is going to help you within your district to have this program that may be turned down by the council anyway, because it's too high of a ratio for whatever maybe happened to come before this at the time.
The goal is really to set a standard for the smaller projects. So any project can be turned down at any time. I've been before council. This is my third time since we have had our new advisory committee. And all of those times, I think we have had almost unanimous decision on that advisory committee. And then we come here and it's a different expectation. So it's really just to get to some form of clarity where if somebody's coming in, there's a very large difference between somebody being able to get back a 10% funding and a 50% funding on their small project. The people who are coming in with smaller projects, fencing projects, those are your mom and pop businesses. And it's the difference between them making that improvement or not. It's not something where they can cut from here or there. It is, that's what they're working with. And so from a time saving standpoint on my part, on your part, and then emotionally for that applicant, this is not, they're not going to be, you're not going to have a large business ask for $30,000 back on a project. Those are people who are scraping the funds together.
Just a quick follow-up on that, Mayor. Mayor, quick follow-up on that.
Pardon me?
Can I follow up on that, please?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. A couple of things. One, you mentioned fencing, and you and I have talked about this. A lot of time the fencing we see is that wrought iron black, very unique to the bird. But what other fencings are allowed within the district?
So within the district, you can have the metal, the black metal. You could do brick. You can do vinyl, and you can do wood as well. I think you could be creative and do some other things, but those are the approved.
Okay, so the wood one or the vinyl one still gives them the security they need. Do you get many people doing that type of fencing in the
No, because it doesn't get them the security that they need. Just from a quality point of view.
Okay.
The repair rate on the vinyl fencing or the wood fencing is a lot higher than they're going to put up that metal fencing once and never touch it.
So there's more value to them as far as
Absolutely.
maintenance, less cost to them to
Yes.
maintain that ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And okay. And then I talked to you about this 460,000 or emailed you. I believe I emailed. Hopefully I sent you an email. And you're right. I mean, there's some things that besides TIF return but 460,000 I think would basically on a 16% return or investment would have it like a $2.3 million project, I think. I can't remember the exact amount now. So do you think that having spent that 460,000 on these small projects really brought the increment or the district goals that are needed overall? Or is there something that this money maybe didn't do and accomplish what was designed to be for what the eBird needs?
If I were to take it on a case-by-case basis, you're going to find a lot of differences within whether it's bringing tax base back in, right? There's a lot of blight over there. It's been a lot of tearing down buildings that are condemned. Those areas, I mean, there's some of them that now at this point, the taxable value is almost what it was when they were torn down, but it does drop the value of it. It also increases safety and hits 99% of the goals of the district. I think for the amount that's been invested on those, I do think it's worth the payoff to get the safety, security, the look of the neighborhood, all of those things in return.
Okay. Thank you. I may have some more questions later.
Mr. Aspenleiter.
Yeah, and Heather, you and I have had this conversation. I'm not going to support it. I just don't think these small projects move the needle. I think it spreads nickels all over town and makes little impact versus, focusing on bigger projects to make real impact. I don't think we can show a return on investment like we're supposed to through our own rules and regulations. And frankly, I think, an investor down there should have more skin in the game than a 50-50 split. That's more than we give in any other TIF district on any other program. So, at best, this should be a majority pay by the applicant, not a 50-50 split by the increment. So I think Councilman Neese has some amendments that he's going to bring forward, but I'm not going to support it as is.
So part of that as well is that it is up to 50%. And that, so when I brought this to the advisory committee, it was two separate programs. The decision was made to combine those into one. And it is again, up to that 50%. That is discretionary, of course, by you as well as the advisory committee.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy.
I don't understand one thing. I don't like the 50-50 split. I think it's small dollars that you're looking at. But I do have a problem with being boxed in with a rule that says if you come up with 50%, we'll pay you up to 50% for a project the cost of $100,000. So you can do the front of your building or whatever. I think every project needs to come on their own merit, and it needs to come back here. And I'm having a little problem with approving of this and then have people assume that they're going to automatically get it. So I'm going to vote against it.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. I agree and disagree with Mr. Aspenleiter in this regard. I agree that it shouldn't be 50-50, that the business should have more skin in the game than rely upon tax dollars to bail them out, basically. But on the other hand, if I understand him correctly, there's more of an impact on one major project than in doing a lot of little projects. It seems to me that we're talking about removing blight, that we can do it in a lot of areas to make the whole area look better, and that would encourage more investment, outside investment dollars in the district, and would be more beneficial to supporting the aims of the program.
Mr. Neese?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, you and I've talked about this program, and I can't support it as is. What I have always supported is the understanding that the Earbird is a special district, and they have special rules that businesses have to adhere to. One of them is the fencing, and often they choose for security reasons. And look, is that wrought iron metal, the black metal, which is one of the most expensive. I suppose brick could be more expensive, but it is a nice look down there. And I've always felt that if we're requiring that we, as a TIF district, should help them with that. I don't like the 50-50 on it, but I think it should be done. And I want it to be more like the sign program, where we approve it. It's a program that comes back to us in 5 years, that we look at it and say, is it working? And make adjustments to it or not. And when I talked to you about this program, I was looking at more of a pre-approved program that we do of a smaller dollar amount, $25,000. So that means the max would be 50 or 60,000, depending on what that type of fencing is. I would think you'd want to do the max for the wrought iron because that's more expensive. But it is very valuable to them because then they have very low maintenance. Run with a black spray can once in a while with some scratches, and it looks brand new again. So I'm not so sure I like the facade program at all. The downtown has one that I'm concerned about, and I'm not sure how much is used, but they're, I think, at a 30%, I think, if it's correctly on that. And so I think that program needs some more. I'm willing to propose a program, but I don't know if your board would be willing to accept it. So I don't know if it needs to go to a work session with the board or we need to come back, but I would suggest a 40-60 split, 40% TIF, 60 owner, 25,000 max TIF award, and then renew it in 5 years. And I'm not so sure I agree with the don't come back in 3 years program, because if they do the fence, or if they just had a TIF, something done where it was a 16% match and they did a great project and they wanted some fencing, then let them do the fencing. I don't think the sign program has a restriction on, you can't come back once we give you 3,000 for your sign. And so I think there's some better guidelines that need to be in this. The other consideration is, it is a lot of money. It's not a $3,000 gift to them. It's a $25,000 gift, and they are getting valuable. But with the other thing is if we want impact, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong on this, you know your district better than I do, but the main streets, the arterials like 4th and 6th and 13th, and some of those streets that are really where most people go through, and you want that district to look good and attractive as people pass by, would be where maybe you actually say this program is going to be only for this area for the first year or two, and only do 3 or 4. Maybe the cap is going to be 100,000 total for the year. So you get maybe a total of 4 projects, 4 fences done. You may not even get that many awards, but those are the kind of things that I look at. And if I was looking at a program like that, I would be more apt to say I'd approve. So,
Anything else for our presenter? All right. Well, we can call for motions, I think. I'll ask for a motion. Is there a motion? Ms. Shaw?
I'm not going to make a motion, but having heard the discussion, my recommendation to you would be to not have us vote on this tonight, but pull it back and maybe have a few more conversations with council members about how to tailor this so that it makes sense. I think otherwise we're going to get into trying to make amendments to it tonight, and I don't think that's the best idea for you or for the program. And I do share some of the same concerns of, I like the programs that are smaller and then you don't have to come back to council. That makes total sense to me. I'm still kind of murky on this a little bit. And so I don't know if that's something that you are willing to do or your board would be willing to do, but I guess that would be my first question and recommendation.
What would you like to do?
Oh yeah, I can absolutely do that. Yeah.
So
Like I said, these started out as 2 very distinct separate programs. As they moved together, concessions were made on both sides of these. The fencing, when you get into fencing, we have somebody who is going to fence in a large area, possibly that could get up to $150,000 in that fencing. When you look at redoing the facade, that ends up anywhere between 60 and 100,000. So when these programs were brought together, it's not necessarily seamless. It ends up, especially with the funding portion, it does end up a little bit skewed in one direction or the other.
So I guess my question, I'm sorry, Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
Okay, my question would be for Gina. Is there, if they're willing to just withdraw this, is there any motion that's needed from council?
yeah, we can postpone it.
Councilmember Shaw, no, I believe that she can withdraw it if she'd like. She can make that clear on the record. I don't believe council would need to make any particular motion. It's been on the agenda. We heard it. It sort of in effect turns into a special presentation more than anything else. It's still an agenda item that you heard. So no need to take any action unless you want it on a work session or if you want further discussion on it.
I'm very happy if that's where you're willing to go, then we're done.
Yeah, I agree. So you would need to make your intention.
Excuse me, Mayor, before you do that, could you hear from Mark Nichols? He's actually on the board of the TIF.
All right, Dr. Nichols, yeah.
I would move we postpone this agenda item to time after we can have a work session on it, to a time to be determined by our city staff.
Do we have a second for that motion? Seeing no second motion. Pardon me? Oh, Mr. O'Donnell seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Aspenleiter.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous to put this on a work session. I mean, we're talking about $100,000 fence program and something that we don't even want to come to us because these awards are going to be small enough. Like, the whole reason we have these advisory committees is to come with a plan after hearing our conversation. I mean, it would make my head explode for us to spend an hour and a half in a work session on this. Like, holy cow, we have things that we can work on. This should not be one of them, for crying out loud.
We have a motion and a second to move this to a work session at a date to be determined. Mr. Neese?
Yeah, I won't support the motion for the work session, and that is to Councilmember Aspelinger's point. This is the reason I'm not making a motion for the fence program, which I desperately wanted to have, is because I don't want to write policy in the middle of the business session or a work session. That should be done outside of council, brought to a work session once it's hammered out by that, and then we can discuss it briefly to make minor adjustments to it as we see fit. And so I'd be willing to see it as a work session after the board has looked at it and done all this stuff, and then bring it back so we can have further discussion on how to amend it.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Neese. Anything else? Mr. Pittman?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I guess, are you willing to withdraw this? And
Absolutely.
Can you say that?
Oh, yes,
You have to
I'm
say
willing
it.
to
You
withdraw this. I am withdrawing.
Before you do that, before you do that.
I know there's a motion on the floor, but
we
I
have
just
motion on the floor.
I just wanted to let her know she has to say the words.
Okay, so let's address the motion on the floor. Any other discussion regarding the delay to a work session?
Mayor, I think if the applicant is willing to withdraw that, and check with the, maybe Gina, does that take precedence over a vote on the issue?
I don't think it takes precedent over the vote, but the council members can, if you want to withdraw the motion, but otherwise there's a motion on the floor that needs to be acted on.
Dr. Nicholson?
Whatever works, I'll withdraw it.
All right, the motion has been withdrawn. Now we're ready for you to say you're willing.
May I withdraw my motion?
You certainly
My
may.
agenda item. Okay, sorry. I'm not asking, I'm telling you. I'm withdrawing it.
All right, good job.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. That opens up public comment on non-agenda items. Speaker sign-in, again, is required. This will be on non-agenda items only. If you wish to make a comment, please come forward, state your name and where you live. You'll get 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jeff Kettleson. I live at 489 South 44th Street. Recently, I attended the Aviation and Transit Board meeting on June 3rd. It was held at the Met office building. I know that you always think that I would like to come up here and complain, but I'm not doing that this time. What I want to inform the City Council is something that you should be proud of. It should be recognized, and all the citizens of Billings should also be proud of. At the board meeting, we found out from Rusty, the chief administrator of Met, that his department recently went through their triennial auditing from the federal government concerning his operations. This audit looked at over 350 items. Rusty informed us that the federal government found 2 items that were in non-compliance. He furtherly stated that he was able to correct one of them before the audit was over. So our transportation department only had 1 violation in their audit, and they are addressing it. So my hat's off to Rusty. I think that the citizens of Billings should be very proud that our transportation department is being properly managed and properly financially secure. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kettleson.
Chris Glenn, 209 Yellowstone Avenue. This is kind of adjacent to the topics. I'm a system engineer, a process engineer, and I hear all these discussions about the TIF and the value that they bring. And I keep asking myself, well, are there numbers to back that up? Is there something quantifiable to say this is the thing we get this? And I know there's measurements somewhere. I just don't know TIF well enough. But talking about the eBird, that does this help? How quantify how it proves it? So that is the question I keep asking myself. What is the value that you can document and show? And so I don't know if you're thinking that, but I am as a person listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Can I give these to the members? Pass them to Tony.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Michael Mansfield. I live at 4121 Roosevelt Avenue, 59101. I have right here a copy of the emails which I've sent out to each one of you. And what this does have, this has a solution to the problem. I have talked to law enforcement, I've talked to fire department people, I've talked to average citizen. The use of fireworks inside the city limits is actually illegal, but there's nothing being done about it. The thousands of calls that the police get on 4th of July is overwhelming. This is a solution right there. If you make the fine up to $900 for them doing the fireworks inside the city limits, it will deter a lot of individuals. The fear of that fine will actually make people think twice about lighting up fireworks. Fireworks affects veterans, people, dogs, cats, also can cause fires, and also can cover up crime. I have recently went to the VFW post 1634 and talked to Jerry Hudson, who is the commander there, and I have full support right there on this matter. He has a copy of that right there, which you have in front of you. This right here is an easy out for the city of Billings. This answers the problem, or has a solution to the problem that has not been taken care of. And I urge you to please do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of our meeting and ask for any council initiatives, if there are any. Thank you, Mr. Neese. Seeing none, seeing no, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, folks.